Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I'm your host, Elena Fox. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time. And that whenever and wherever you happen to be in this sometimes crazy, sometimes confusing world of chaos that we tend to find ourselves in right now, I hope that you know it's okay if you did not celebrate the Lion's Gate portal. It's okay if you don't do anything on the new moon. It's okay if you don't participate in group meditations or world anything. There's nothing wrong with doing things the way you wish to do them, and there's nothing wrong with trying to manifest whatever you wish to manifest 365 days out of the year, and not just during a full moon or new moon or whatever. Now, I mention these things as they come up, as I become aware of them, but the reality is, I mean, it's kind of fun. The Lion's Gate. Something to look forward to. But the reality of it is, you are a spark of the great divine. You are powerful. No matter what the moon or the sun or Jupiter is doing in the sky this week, you have ultimate power inside of you. You just need to claim it. Know it, accept it. I mean, it's a thing. It's really a thing. If you pray for something and you don't get it, and you don't get it simply because you forgot to accept it fully in your life. By the way, a lot of crazy shit has gone down in the past 2, 3, 4 days. And not in the world that I know of, other than the basic shit, floods, fires. Armageddon is going on. Armageddon done. Sorry, Archangel of Death humor. Oh my God. I've been noting how time since maybe Friday, maybe even like Thursday, has become more nebulous and more floaty. Like I'm kind of aware of it, kind of not aware of it. Things have been, for the past week or two, things have been really, at least for me, the idea of time, the way it's not even affecting me. It's like, time this, time that. Have you noticed that my show's been coming out later and later, it seems, in the past week or two. I'm trying to get it this week. I'm going to try to get it a little bit done on time. This is my last week of season 4. But it just feels like time has been so hard to grasp and hard to deal with. Like I haven't even considered it. Like I sleep when I'm tired. I eat when I'm hungry. I pet my cat as often as she allows me to. Whereas before, Virgo me would have a schedule. Or a schedule if you're in England. I always love the way they said that on the Britcoms. It's here. It's right here on the schedule. It's like, I've always said schedule, so it makes me laugh to say it the other way. Anyway, things have been really weird. Like the dreamscape. Have you been noticing how dreams are really weird? They have messages, but they're like deep, powerful messages that are metaphors, and they're really hard to understand. And they're profound, and you wake up crying until you explain to somebody what you dreamt about. And then you're like, oh, well, that was just super weird. It makes no sense. I had a dream that over the weekend that my cat, it might have even been like Thursday night. I don't know. I can't remember when I had this dream. I might even mention this Friday, but I had this dream that my cat transformed and shapeshifted into a fly, a little green fly. And I told her this. I mean, I woke up crying. I was afraid I was going to step on her, and then she flew away. And I thought, holy shit, I'm never going to see my cat again. Flies only live 72 hours, and I was just heartbroken. And then I woke up and I saw her, and I scooped her up in my arms, and I was crying and kissing her fur, you know. And then she wriggled away from me and ran into the other room like, what the hell's wrong with her? You know, like, what? And she went and she's looking outside, and I said, hey, I had a dream about you. I had a dream you turned into a green fly. And the way she turned around and she looked at me and she's like, what? And I think I did tell this story on Friday, but I was thinking how funny it is, because when you tell anybody you had a dream about them and you're all upset and you're crying and you're like, but you don't understand. It was so powerful. It was just so, I don't know. And then you try to explain what it is. And the other person's like, really? Really? That's how you see me? You see me as a fly? Like, for real? Come on. What the hell? Get yourself together. I mean, it's kind of always that way, right? Our dreams are so deep and profound to us until we try to explain it. And then it's like, oh, well, that was super weird. Like, it doesn't even, it never translates here. And I've noticed that, you know, I've been going to this school. A few of the archangels I found, they've also been going to this school, but my near twin flame, who is not an archangel, he actually told me like last year that he's been attending this school, and it looks like we're sitting on the steps of Harry Potter. Like, that's what I always remember. You know, we're in this really huge gray building. It's very gothic looking and enormous, and we're always there getting magical training and spiritual training, and I feel like we're getting spiritual gifts there somehow. It's very, very weird. Now, I'm not saying this to go look at the school I'm attending and you're not, because you might be going to this school as well. I have a feeling that we all go there, and regardless of where we came from, you know, star seeds, archangels, humans, or what. I have a feeling that from time to time we all attend school in this place. But I've been going there all week, and I was abducted last week more than once. No, just once. But I was abducted towards the end of the week. It might have been like Friday. And I felt like I had missing time. I'm not going to mention who, but somebody who I talk to all the time with on social media told me he also was abducted and has a lot of missing time. And, you know, I almost interviewed him, and then he's like, you know what? I don't think I want to talk about it right now. It's too deep. It's too powerful. You know, he came to with, you know, bruises, you know, on his face. Like, it's really intense, you know, and I don't know what happened to me over the weekend, but I do know that I was abducted, and I do know that since Friday, since I wrapped up Friday's show, I have hopped 6 timelines. More than that, actually. More than 8, more than 7. Yeah, 8 timelines. 2 timelines just today. And the weird things, you know, like weird things like you, notice that you've got a chip on the edge of a fingernail, for example. And this happened to me twice in the past week. I had a chip on the edge of a fingernail, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to clip my fingernails. And then I hop a timeline and I start looking for my clippers, and I go to cut my fingernails, and there's no chip in the fingernail. It's like, oh, I must have been mistaken. Maybe I didn't really imagine that, or had a dream, or they get like weird. I get weirded out, like, well, maybe that didn't happen. Okay. And then all of a sudden I hop a timeline, and now I've got the chip in my fingernail. It's like, oh, there it is. Now I've got to, I got to cut it again. And then I go to get the, clippers, and then something happens and I totally forget about it. I hop another timeline and forget that that's what I was doing, and then later I remember, oh yeah, I was going to do that. And now my thumbnail is definitely cracked again. So I've got to do that again. Like I keep going back and forth. Like it's chipped, then it's not, then it is, then it's not. It's like 2.5% is basically on average the difference between this timeline and any other timeline you could hop to. If it's over to the right or over to the left, this is my metaphor of, one timeline or parallel universe up in vibration or one down in vibration. And I don't know. I felt like I've hopped 8 timelines since Friday, and I just feel so like, woo. I woke up on Lionsgate Portal, which was Sunday. I woke up at that time, and my whole room was filled with green plasma. I was in the 5th dimension. That was trippy. I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I just laid in bed looking at all the plasma. It was so nice. And I felt like I was floating. And it was kind of a peridot green color, kind of a, a lemony green. And then, like a citrus color green. And then it was also emerald, like beautiful dark green emerald. And kind of like a forest moss kind of green. It was just 2 or 3 different kinds of greens just floating in my room. And I was like, whoa, this is so beautiful. And then I look outside, and it was kind of a orange, kind of a peachy orange and hot pink magenta kind of neon plasma outside. I was like, wow, the whole world is plasma right now. And I'm glad. I'm more than happy, more than willing to be in, more than thrilled to be in the 5th dimension. Thank God that's over. And I feel like I'm in the 3rd again today. So what the hell? It's so annoying. I don't want to flip flop. I just want to hop up, stay up, in that 5th dimension energy. That space is so nice. And that was a Lionsgate portal. But I got to tell you, like, even though I was aware of the days, I was also unaware of the days. And I just felt like Friday went a few extra hours and Saturday didn't exist. And then all of a sudden it was Sunday. And I thought, well, I better light a candle for Lionsgate Portal tomorrow. And then I did that on Sunday, which was yesterday. And I was thinking it was Saturday. I don't know. And then, when I realized it's Sunday, I'm like, what happened to Saturday? Saturday's gone. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like my whole weekend was so freaking nebulous. It wasn't bad. It was just weird. Like, I mean, maybe it's because on Friday I usually go get the pizza, but when I wrapped it up on Friday night and finished with the show, and now my weekend's beginning, I'm going to go get the pizza. It was so cold all of a sudden. I just felt like I don't want to walk outside. I don't want my cheeks to feel cold. I mean, that's what face masks are for, am I right? They're like a socially acceptable coat for your face now. I mean, before COVID, honestly, if you wear a ski mask because your face is cold, everyone assumes you're a criminal, right? And not that we're all wearing ski masks, but just wearing any kind of mask over your face was subject to ridicule and fear. And now everybody wears masks and our faces are warmer. I don't know. I just felt odd all weekend though. I was going to go on Friday to get the pizza, and I just kept feeling all of this energy and push to stay home and just eat a turkey sandwich instead, and to ignore the pizza situation. So I did. I was like, well, they're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're only open 3 days a week. That's why it's always like Friday, get the pizza, right? And then I decided I'm going to go tomorrow and I'm going to have pizza and wine. So I did that on Friday or on Saturday instead. I had pizza and wine, and normally I eat 4 pieces of pizza easily. They're not massive pizzas, but they're substantial. I usually come home full, or I eat 1 or 2 pieces there and carry the rest home in a Tupperware container that I bring. So I don't have to pay $1 for the extra pizza box, and then I don't have to dispose of it, and love Mother Earth and all that. So I was going to just do that. I don't know. Life is weird, man. I don't know. My life has been weird for the past week and a half. Like when I went grocery shopping on Thursday, I felt I'm going to get all these things in my head. And I did. I got everything on the list that I had in my head. And it was like almost $100 worth of food. And I came home and I could not wait to eat. And then I ate a little bit and I'm like, I'm not hungry. Friday, ate a little bit. I'm not that hungry. Saturday came around and I ate 2 pieces of pizza and I was full for the whole night. I eat once a day. It's like, wow, I don't know. I just feel like my body is less dense and I need less density and less food. And I've been talking with my Archangel group. And if you are an Archangel and I haven't added you to the group, let me know. As we're talking about we're trying to figure out our roles on Earth. What are we going to do to help everybody raise up? That's pretty much, although lately we've been talking about Naruto, so I don't know. But I just, everybody was saying the same thing. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm pulling in energy from, lightning or the ocean. I was saying, I get that from, energy from these things. And other people are saying, yeah, I've been feeling like I'm pulling in more energy from what is around me, nature itself. And eating less. We're all eating less. We're becoming less dense physically, and we're eating less food because of it. Almost every single one of the archangels that are participating in the chat are saying the same thing, that, hey, we're all really pretty much fasting except for 1 meal a day and maybe a couple snacks, but not full meals. And, we're going anywhere from 10 hours to 14 hours a day without food, depending on the person or the day. And then when we do eat, we try to be very high quality about it, and we're also taking supplements. So, I don't know, it's what the archangels are doing. So it's what I was automatically doing, and it's kind of cool that other people are kind of doing the same thing. And I don't know, are you guys doing the same thing? Write to me and let me know if your experience is the same or even different. I want to know what's going on with the humans and the starseeds. It's funny because a lot of starseeds are here from the 5th dimension, and then they incarnate in the 3rd dimension, and they're shocked and disoriented because, like, holy crap, this is a really hard world to live in. And then they have to bring their physical body up to the 5th dimension, which is where they're normally at. So it's just not normal. A lot of people are feeling that weirdness and confusion, and, it's hard, man. There's fires all over the world. We talked about this on Friday. Oh, excuse me. In the Earth Changers report, just so much, like Greece and Turkey and Canada, and there's fires everywhere, California, all over. And then other parts of Europe, it's just everything is flooding and raining. We have all this crazy stuff, and then this Lion's Gate portal energy was really knocking some people for a loop, whether you want to celebrate it or do something for it or not. It's a time for manifestation. If you want to continue to manifest even today, tomorrow, the next few days, that's fine. In fact, until the 12th, they say this powerful, it's like a gateway between the Sirius star and our star, the sun. You know, it's just that they're in alignment. So it's just kind of a nice time to just imagine the life you wish to have, you know. Imagine the beauty and the joy that you want to experience, and whatever it is, you know, whether you want to manifest a really kick-ass successful business, or you want to manifest love or a better job, a better career, being accepted to university, more friendships, higher quality food, good money, you know, manifesting whirlwind of money coming in out of nowhere, whatever you want, you know, inspiration for your next novel or play that you write, whatever. You know, maybe manifest paints and paintbrushes if you want to be an artist and you're not yet, but you don't have the money to buy the supplies. Just manifest the supplies. You know, it's just you still have time. You still got time. So if you missed the Lion's Gate, I mean, the energy of it is still here. It's crazy. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up. Let's see. I wanted to talk about a couple of the things that it did say about the 8-8 gate, Lion's Gate, the power day of the master manifester. According to Heaven to Earth 11:11, she writes, this day requires discipline and a balanced use of power to be a master manifester. Walking with a foot in both worlds at once. And I feel like we're doing that. Do you guys feel like that? Like, it's still like the 3D world, but also there's some really crazy 5D shit starting to happen. More so than ever before. I'm loving it. But learning how to love openly with trust, acting with maturity and wisdom, and focusing with positive intent. So I wanted to read that. I thought that was cool. Infinite Love 11:11 also writes, and in between the word infinite and love, there is a underscore. This one says Lion's Gate 8-8 portal DNA upgrade symptoms. So even if you're not actively doing anything for this time has been crazy as far as the symptoms, and a lot of people are talking about them. I'm going to tell you the list. This is Ascension stuff, but it's also the Lion's Gate 8-8 portal. It's like double or maybe 8 times what we normally get. It's these symptoms are crazy. All right, so some of them are normal, like the normal ones, but I mean insomnia. So normally if you can't sleep for 2 or 3 extra hours after you lay in bed, you might have insomnia that lasts like 8 hours. Like you cannot sleep all night long, and then you get to bed around 6 or 7 or 8 in the morning, and then you wake up 3 or 4 hours later like you've had plenty of rest. It's extreme. This is extreme. Okay. Vivid dreams and lucid dreams. Yes to all of that. Man, my lucid dreams, vivid dreams, just, it almost feels more real in the dream world, in the dreamscape, than in the actual, what we call the actual real world, for me at least. I mean, I'm talking to people over there, I'm making plans, I'm making things happen. I'm a mover and a shaker in some of these dreams, and then I wake up and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to get back over there. I've got things to do. And then I realize I just woke up from dreaming, sleeping, and why am I still so tired? It's because there's no rest for the wicked, apparently. I mean, I'm over there working, I'm over here working. It's like, I don't get a break. Migraines. I have gotten a lot more in the mornings or afternoons. I've been getting a lot more headaches. Usually has to do with lack of coffee. I need to get coffee sooner in my system. because it's an addiction. I know it's, sugar and coffee are my only addictions. Thank you, God. But that there's not worse ones, but, physical tension. Yeah. My back has been sore as hell. I mean, I feel like I've been out working. I've been really like lifting things and physically working. Like I wake up every day, like feeling like I'm in more pain than when I went to bed. Very, very weird. Irritability and nervousness. These are new ones. Restlessness, anxiety, oversleeping. Yes, I'm sleeping 12 hours every day. 10. Like today, I slept 10 hours. Woke up at 4:20. Right on the money. I'm like, time to smoke weed. Although I did not wake and bake today. But it was the first thing I thought. It made me laugh. But yeah, oversleep, confusion. I've had a lot of confusion. Just so strange. Ear ringings. Yes. Have you guys had earrings in your left ear or your right ear? Like you're getting an upgrade on one side and then the other side. Been feeling that quite a bit. Extreme behaviors. Not so much on my end. I have not. Although I do know someone who wrote to me and said he drank more than he's ever drank in his whole life. I think just got sick over the weekend, and that wasn't normal. Wasn't normal at all for him. I mean, I don't know, maybe my extreme behavior was drinking a whole glass of wine in public. I felt weird sitting in public without a mask in this open air restaurant, drinking my Merlot. My twin flame noticed, he took note though, he likes wine, and we talk about wine a lot, and he said, "Hey, Elena, you're drinking wine. Is that a Merlot?" I'm like, it's either a house red or a Merlot, but I think it's a Merlot too. And we had a good chuckle over it, like he could taste it in my mouth. I still haven't met him in real life, but I love talking to my twin flame, and I love when he's so connected that he could tell what I'm doing and eating and drinking, and it's pretty interesting. I'm like, yeah, it's like a Merlot. And we keep trying to make plans and having conversations about it and what's going to be like when we meet. So hopefully, boom, boom, knock on wood, yes, soon. But yeah, confusion, oversleep, earrings, extreme behaviors. Oh, now I'm smelling bacon. He's probably eating bacon now that I said it. Are you eating bacon right now? He says yes, and eggs and toast. Yes. Nice. It's so awesome. He says toast or pancakes. Ooh, go for pancakes. And he says no, but the bacon and the eggs will get cold. Yeah, all right, toast it is. Toast is easier. I'm glad I can make an executive decision on that one. Okay. I love it. I love breakfast for dinner. I always have. It's like most of the stuff I bought was breakfast foods too. I have bacon in the fridge. I don't normally buy any pork at all. I mean, being a Muslim, I feel guilty when I have pepperoni or bacon, but God, I know. God knows me. He knows I'm going to want this stuff. I always ask for forgiveness, and I can't help it. Sometimes I'm weak, sometimes, but anyway, more spiritual than religious anyway. Anyway, increased sensitivity. Do you guys have increased sensitivity to light or temperature, sound, time in which you could spend talking to people? Does it affect you more? My sensitivity has been in the time speaking to people, like it exhausts me. And my increased sensitivity mostly has been cold. Oh, it gets a little cold and I'm like, I'm freezing, and I have to wear extremely warm clothes out of nowhere. It's like gets down to 67 degrees and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cold. It's not cold at all. This is like the dead of the night here next to the beach, 67 degrees. It's like nothing. I'm not going to die. It's not that cold, but I'm very sensitive to it suddenly. But do you feel like you're full of energy and excitement, motivation? Because that's another DNA upgrade symptom or list of symptoms for the 8-8 portal. desire to set new things in motion, flashes of insight, increased empathy and compassion for yourself and others, emotional maturity, as well as emotional cleansing, rewriting karma and family patterns, or at least I think for most of this is like just forgiving them. Forgiving yourself in your role in which you played in hurting your parents or your children or your siblings or, other family members, and forgiving people who hurt you. I think that's what it means here by rewriting karma and family patterns. You could rewrite the karma. You don't have to continue a pattern. It's not really karma. It's more like patterns, rewriting patterns for family stuff. Just rewriting the family patterns, basically. You don't have to write the word karma there. You can. I guess you could add that. That has a little bit different meaning, though. Increased sexuality. Are you feeling a lot more sexual? Like, even if you're not doing it, you're feeling the energy of it. Like, woo, now I feel alive. Hey, I'm feeling like, woo, all right, okay. I was feeling for a while, like that part of my life is probably over. Like, for like about a year, I felt like, I was just resigned to it. I think it was last year I was feeling that. And now I feel like, oh no, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be with my twin flame. Boy, he's not going to see this one coming. No pun intended. Ooh. Oops. Oh, no, she didn't. Okay, I did. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's an increased sexuality too. I feel like that's true for sure. I feel like some things that have been offline for a while are coming back online. And in a bigger way. And again, no pun intended. And past visions and future visions. So those are all, according to Infinite Love 1111, the Lionsgate 88 Portal DNA upgrade symptoms. So, Naga Josephina, she changed from Naga Healing Guidance to Naga Josephina. It's Naga Josephina, all one word. Josephina is spelled Josefina, and Naga is Naga, so Naga Josephina. She says, for today, a light has been turned on. A weight has been lifted. More of the old will continue to be cleared until it's all gone and closed by the end of the month. There's plenty of masculine energy around to get things done, so use this time to start, continue, and finish working on your desired goals. And so Ascension symptoms today include head tension or pressure, temples and sinus pressure, dry lips. Ooh, actually my lips are dry. How did she know that? That's so creepy. I live all by myself. No one's looked at me in days. How does she know my lips are dry? Damn it. It's like she lives in my head. But yeah, dry lips, mouth, nose, heart flutters. Yes, I've been having heart flutters, almost like a palpitation, but not quite enough to make me feel a little concerned. And then a moment later, just kind of forget that I was concerned, whereas the palpitations have me quite concerned for hours. But now I'm like, all right, I'm probably okay, Yeah, heart flutters, slightly warm and feverish, jaw tension, teeth and gums pulling or sensitivity feeling, bloating in the body, gases, tailbone, lower back pain, body soreness. Yeah, for me, the body soreness, big time. I don't have jaw tension, but my jaw feels tired, like I've been talking for hours to people, but I haven't been. Not too much. It's weird. Body soreness, forehead tension, and exhaustion. I just feel cold. I feel like my face feels cold, and I feel like I've been out in the snow for hours, which is insane because I've been inside, and it's maybe 70 degrees in my house. It's not terrible. I'm wearing sweats and I'm wearing a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and a thick sweater that I bought in Peru at Lake Titicaca. I bought this from this lady, this beautiful woman named Isabel. She's old, I mean like in her 70s. And she hand knits these sweaters. They're absolutely beautiful. They look, they're professionally done. She's a professional, knitter. She's amazing. And I'm so grateful to this sweater. My God, this sweater has gotten me through many a cold night. And especially when I was over there in Puno, in Peru, on the shores of Lake Titicaca. It is 12,000 feet above sea level there. My God, it's hard to breathe there, and it's so freaking cold. I remember I felt like I was floating on my way to heaven. I was on a boat with my kids, and we're going to an island in the center of the lake. And I mean, it was hours. It was like 4 hours going on this massive lake. 4 hours to the center of the lake to this little island. And on the way there, we could see the snow-capped mountains of Bolivia. Now, we've never been to Bolivia, but we were in water that touched Bolivia. So technically, we were kind of almost potentially there. And Bolivia's got some crazy and mysterious things going on over there as well. They've got portals to God knows where. Like where we were, an hour from Puno, there was a portal to God knows where. And there's portals all over South America. And some people believe there's stargates to other planetary systems like the Pleiades and different areas. I don't know. I really want to go in through one and just see where it goes. Even if I die or if nothing happens, I still want to try. It's just so interesting. But I remember floating, like on the boat. We're going so fast on the boat and just watching the snow-capped mountains, and the lake looked so still and pristine and so fucking cold. It was so cold. And I remember breathing in, like the air was coming towards us as we were going, as it does when you're going on a boat on water. And it just felt like I was breathing in the snow-capped air from Bolivia. I was breathing in the pristine Bolivian air while still in Peru. That's how I felt. It was such a strange and unusual, very strange and unusual kind of feeling. And I remember my face being so freaking cold. And that's how my face feels today. Not that long explanation for this, but and I remember at the same time the sun was so hot. Thinner air, less atmosphere, more direct. I mean, I got a little bit of a sunburn that day while also being cold. It was so strange. Such a strange. And I remember on the way to Colca Canyon, not long after that, maybe it was before that, no, I think it was after that. I think we went to Colca Canyon after we went to Puno. And Colca Canyon is another one of those places where it was cold as hell. But you go way, way, way up a mountain, and when you get to the top of the mountain, it's like snowing. Whereas when you started, it was hot, and it was so hot you had to wear shorts and tank top. It was so hot. And we didn't, though. We just felt like it was going to be cold soon, so might as well dress warm. And we were okay, but the ladies we were traveling with, they were in little tiny sundresses and tank tops and shorts, and they were just so mad at themselves. They're like, why the hell did I dress like this? It's so freaking cold. And it was like snow and I can't believe I was in Peru and it was snowing. Everyone has the idea that South America is so hot. It's so hot here. And depends on where you are. Even in the jungle, it was cold. I had to have a blanket at night being in Iquitos. And I watched over the weekend a movie, I Am Not a Shaman. It was very, very interesting, and I'm so glad he showed not the idealistic view of the jungle in Peru, but what it really is like. The people walking around being happy, but they're covered in God knows what, liquids or dirt, or like he didn't show the people that looked really good. He showed everybody, you know, like the ceremonial people, the everyday people that have, sure, they just spilled, you know, something on their shirt, you know, or the kids are playing in the dirt, you know. It was like so real. That's what Iquitos was about when I was there too. You know, and roaming around on tuk-tuks and feeling weird and uneasy, and all the people constantly telling him, I'm going to sell you this, I'm going to sell you that. Oh, come here. Oh, I got the good price for you. And you're just like overwhelmed, and you feel like maybe these people don't have your best interest in mind, and they're all wanting something from you, and the commercialism that overtakes people out of fear of not having, and also out of greed. And it was very interesting. I liked that they showed Iquitos the way that I remember Iquitos. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did not like Iquitos when I was there. But they also showed going down the tributaries to the Amazon River, the really small, very narrow rivers, you know, they go out, they, you know, and you have to go up the rivers to get to different tribal people and encampments and places where their ancestors lived over 1,000 years, thousands of years in some cases, and how beautiful, how gorgeous and green it was. And I loved that part about not Iquitos itself, but just outside of Iquitos. So I was thinking about my travels over the weekend quite a bit, like really feeling the same emotions I had, like how afraid of people and things in Iquitos I was when I was there. Like a lady sold us this weird meat that was gray, and I wasn't there. I gave money to my kids and my boyfriend at the time who was traveling with us. He comes back, and I swear they were toes on a skewer. They were human. It looked like human feet. Like, I'm not gonna fucking eat this. He's like, good. So can I eat yours? I'm like, are you a cannibal? And he's like, I don't know what I'm eating. I'm like, fuck. My kids are like, yeah, we need to find something else to eat, and you can have ours too. And he ate all of our, God knows what kind of meat it was. I don't know. It looked like they were cooking people. You know, this weird little lady sitting on the corner by herself, cackling to herself. It was, I mean, it might have been monkeys that she fed us. It did not smell or taste like, I had one bite. It did not smell or taste like meat. I was so starving too. I remember eating a bite of it like, oh man, this does not taste right. I said, kids, you might not want to eat this. And I told Alex, don't eat this, man. He's like, oh, we'll be fine. He's like laughing, cackling to himself, just like the lady was. Like, this looks like feet, like toes. Like, come on, this is dedos, you know, come on. And he, I've been thinking about all this weird shit that I went through with my kids and our crazy travel experiences. And I don't know, hopefully you guys have had some wild experiences over the weekend as well. You know, just this Lionsgate, I don't know, there's some craziness to this energy, you know, that I don't notice other times of the year for sure. And last year I noticed it more so, and this year I noticed it the most. And a couple years ago, the Lions, what now? What are you making up right now? This isn't real. And maybe it might be a not real thing. I don't know. Somebody did tell me they think it's a false light ascension thing, and I asked God, and God said, no, it's not. It's just Sirius is rising in this distance, like kind of behind the sun. It kind of looks like we have two suns for a minute. You know, it looks like a smaller sun. It's kind of interesting. It creates an energy, two energies in combination with each other. I've been slipping into Spanish a lot lately. And then when I do actually go to speak to people in Spanish for 4 days, I've just forgotten Spanish. So things you know and you've always known, or that you've known for years, and suddenly you're like, what? That kind of energy, that's been happening this past week for me. I know I was abducted. I can't even begin to tell you what happened. I know that I was, though. And I don't know what they did to me. I don't know. If I think of it as not abduction, but rather experience. I had an experience. I went somewhere with my friends in their spaceship. I don't know what happened. That might seem a little more accurate, but it's still freaky because I wasn't asked permission, you know. I don't know. My cat has been really weird. Ooh, I just looked. It was 44:44 right when I said that. And so I don't know. And that happened right after 10:44 p.m. It's 10:45 now. So my cat has been like going outside and coming back a few moments later. Let me just make this the official Queen Knowledge Ravenspell familiar report right now. My cat over the weekend has been leaving and then coming back in a few minutes, just acting like a little baby with her tiny little mews, like meow, 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 meow. And she makes that sound, which is adorable. And she wants me to pick her up and hold her in my arms and just hold her tight and hold her close. And normally she'll leave for like hours and I can't find her and I get a little nervous, and she'll come around and she acts like, what the hell? Why do you want to touch me? Why do you want to, come on, don't embarrass me, Ma. You know, that kind of like, I don't want you to pick me up. Suddenly for 2 days, she's wanted like she's been very, very, almost afraid or clingy, like she has to be near me. So I don't know if other animals are acting like this, like they want to stick a little more closer to their human. They want a little bit more attention. They want a lot more love. Normally I have to coax her to hug me at night. I have to get her to come. I have to convince her it's time to cuddle your mom. And I have to ask her, please, you know, I really need you. And then she'll come. And 2 or 3 times, I think maybe 3 times last night, I woke up and she was slumped over my neck, cuddling with me and purring really loudly, and curled up in a ball near me like 3 different times. Over the weekend, she would sleep near my stomach. She's always either on my pillow with my head and she puts her head bowed into my hand and buries her face in my hands and buries my face under her fur. And I always have to move my face. Just can't breathe under that, all that fur. But she's either at my feet away from me or at my head cuddled up in a ball on top of me, on top of my face, and bearing her own face in my hands, or just slumped across my neck like a feather boa. And she's been like 2 or 3 times when I asked her to cuddle with me last night, she did, and then 3 different times when I did not ask her to, while I was asleep, she did this. She doesn't normally do this. She's been very clingy, which I love. I love the extra cuddles with her. It makes me feel wonderful, and I feel so much love from her. And I feel like she's been a lot more loving in the past couple days. So I don't know if you guys are experiencing a change in your animals, but I feel like that's also like an ascension symptom, that animals are experiencing this too. So don't forget about them when you're experiencing this stuff. So over the weekend, like since last week, my cat has been dragging in these giant cockroaches, which I don't want to talk about. I'm so scared of these fucking bugs. I hate them. I call them the ugly bugs. And she's brought in like 3 of them and, you know, tortured them and played with them, and they start to crawl away, and she hops on them, and she's having a good old time, and I'm in the corner screaming, get that outside, I hate that thing, get it away. You know, it's like, you know, like I'm about to cook dinner, and she brings one of those in the house. It's like, no thanks, I'm good. I could wait another 2 hours before I eat, because it makes me lose all kinds of appetite. Like, it grosses me out. I hate bugs, and I'm just like, blah, you know. And so that was happening, and then she brought in the biggest, blackest cricket I've ever seen in my life, and she did the same thing to the cricket. And then she pulled in like a couple, I don't know, it was last week during the week, she pulled in a We were out of power twice. That's happened this week. Losing power was really freaky. It did not feel, it felt weird. It just felt like, oh shit, the grid just powered down. You know, one time it was for like a couple hours, and then one time it was just for like 5 minutes. By the time I got up and lit the candle, the power was back on. But both times, right when it happened, I thought, oh shit, this is it. We don't have any longer power. We just don't. We're done. It was like the weirdest thought, like, it's happened, it's happening. It was such a weird, freaky feeling. But I had my flashlight, and I was looking around, making sure the cat's okay. I don't want to step on her, so I'm using the flashlight. And then I saw the lizard that she had caught outside, and she had brought in. I didn't know she brought anything in. She hides it in her mouth, to get it past me. And then she throws it around and chases it, and I didn't know what she was doing. I'm like, she must have got a moth or something. No, it was a lizard. It was like 6 or maybe not 6, maybe like 4 or 5 inches long, a smaller, like a gecko. And I guess she ate it. I never saw it again after that moment when I shined the flashlight on it, and I was like, oh God, not again. But over the weekend, she moved up to mammals. And I was so proud of her. She actually caught her very first mouse. And I don't know, I felt the joy that she felt, that she was so proud of herself, and she felt so accomplished, because this is what she's always wanted, was to catch a mammal. And she did. She caught a mouse. And by the time she brought it in the house, it was dead. She'd been playing with it apparently for a while. And she snuck it past me. The whole thing was in her mouth. I couldn't see it. And she was trying to meow, like, out the side of her mouth. It was like, ah. It was not a normal meow. It's more like a ah, kind of over to the side, like, because the rest of her mouth had the mouse in it. And she played with that thing, threw it up in the air and caught it and threw it, and just, had the time of her life. And I got to be honest, I was so proud of her. Poor little mouse. And it was a very tiny mouse. And I got a picture of her, with her little trophy. And it was just so cute. Like, she was so happy, and I felt her joy. And that might have been what was her prompting her wanting to cuddle with me more, because she's just so proud of herself. And I just thought, oh, wow, there's a whole nother emotional world that animals go through that we don't go through, that we don't understand, where we see the plight of the mouse. We don't see the joy and the happiness and the smile, the sheer beauty on the face of our beloved felines when they do that thing they set out to do. And it's such a weird thought, I guess, but I was proud. I'm proud of her. So that's what's been going on with the kitten, who turns into a complete 1-year-old on the 13th. So yeah, 4 days from now. Unbelievable. So what's that, Thursday, I think. Anyway, I'm excited. I don't know what I'm going to do for her birthday, but I'm going to come up with something special for her. I know she's happy. I might have to go buy her like a laser pointer or something, to play with, chasing the laser. She does do that a little bit with a flashlight, so she might like it with a laser more so. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. What else? She's been sleeping a lot longer lately, and she sleeps in places that she didn't normally sleep either. So if your animals are doing that, it's Ascension symptoms. I'm sure of it. I really feel like that's what's happening. That it is affecting the animals as well. So anyway, let's get to space weather news at spaceweather.com. The current solar wind speed is 383.3 kilometers per second. And a new sunspot provisionally is being called number AR2853 and is growing at the circled location, which is above the equator of the sun over to the west, from our perspective anyway. And we're on sunspot number 11. But that one's not 11. That's, I don't know why they say that. I don't see another sunspot at all in this picture. Anyway, Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's like not even 11 o'clock and I'm like already getting kind of sleepy. All right, so almost spotless solar flare. This is something that's really weird that happened earlier today at 0004 UT time, basically on August 9th. Okay, so the spotless sun. Okay, no sunspots. Even though it says sunspot 11, I don't see it. I don't see another one. So I think they just messed that up and didn't change it. So it's a spotless sun, but it did produce a C1 class solar flare. So that's very weird. And it says upon closer inspection, the sun might not be spotless after all. And then there is the new sunspot emerging from the blast site. So even though we couldn't see it or make it out, we already got a C1 class solar flare from the new sunspot that they believe is there. It's very weird. Okay, so this one is another weird one, and I don't know when the energy of it is going to reach us, but it's something to keep in mind. There is a rare naked eye nova. Every 20 years or so, a thermonuclear explosion occurs on the surface of RSOPH. Oh, it's a white dwarf in the constellation Ophiuchus. Oh, that does not sound right. Ophiuchus. I don't know. Anyway, it happened again yesterday. The brightness of the tiny star increased 600-fold from magnitude plus 12 to plus 5. Keith Gary of Ireland was the first one to notice, and then hours later, Italian astronomer Ernesto Guido and his colleagues did photograph the outburst using a remote-controlled telescope in Australia, and you can see how bright this is. It is a recurrent nova. It's very rare. In the whole Milky Way galaxy, only 7 star systems are known to produce these kinds of explosions. It is a binary star. It's very lopsided, and its one side is a white dwarf, and the other side is a red giant. So basically one is super old and one is super new. And there's very little distance between the two stars, and the gravity of the white dwarf is able to pull the gaseous material off of the larger star onto itself. So every 2 decades, enough matter accumulates to trigger this explosion, okay? Now, at 5th magnitude, the current outburst is visible to the unaided eye, albeit just barely. So you could see it with a telescope or whatever, binoculars even. If you look south after sunset, you're going to be able to see it. And it hangs out just above the better known constellations of Scorpius and Sagittarius. So I am thinking that, and they do believe that it increased to brighter to plus 4.6. Every 20 years, we're also getting this energy to ascend to us. And I'm feeling like that's another thing that might be a major thing that's affecting us. Now, I don't know if it's affecting us now. I don't know when it reaches us. But if we're looking at the energy of it, maybe the energy from several times ago has already reached us, right? I would like to look a little bit more into this and let you guys know if I could figure it out. Might not be able to. If you guys can figure it out, let me know. And I'll tell the rest of everyone else listening. Anyway, cosmic radiation, neutron counts right now. We are at a high level of cosmic radiation affecting us. We have gone up by 0.2% increase in the past 48 hours. So we are being affected at a high level. Earth is exiting right now a stream of solar wind that has been flowing from the coronal hole over the 2 coronal holes over. Now it's to the east. So yeah, all weekend long we've been having solar wind flowing, and today there were 38 fireballs reported by the All Sky Fireball Network and NASA's All Sky cameras, 22 sporadic, 14 Perseids, 2 Southern Delta Aquarids. So according to Disclosure News.it, the Schumann Resonance news coming from Italy has shown only a power of 9 hertz frequency. It's not very much. So let's go to what was going on Saturday over the weekend. with heartmath.org, Schumann Resonance News. This is it. And the first number, you're going to recognize it. From California, 144, like 144,000, 144 hertz frequency. Hafuf, Saudi Arabia, 188 hertz frequency. Both of those angel numbers, 188 or 88, Lionsgate, 144 or 44. Yeah, okay. For those of you keeping score, there it is. Lithuania was at 245 hertz frequency, and Alberta, Canada was at 379 hertz frequency, and Northland, New Zealand's at 73 hertz frequency. Last but not least, Tulului, 151 hertz frequency. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into the next installment of our book right after this. All right, guys, it just gets weirder and weirder. It's 2:33 a.m. Not gonna lie, I'm doing this a little bit too late, and I have 88% charge. But here's two more, 33 and 88, two more angel numbers to add to your list. For those of you who are paying attention to these double numbers that keep showing up. So this book, The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, by Levi, is a look at the actual Akashic records of Jesus, basically. And last week we read chapters 1 through 10. We're going to start now at chapter 11. This book is over 100 years old and still is super interesting to me. This is the actual Akashic records. You know, when we live our lives, the Akashic records are written. Basically, they are recorded and stored for every single one of us. So if you can access the Akashic records, you can see not only who you were in your past life, but every single life and everything you've done up until this moment. So this is supposedly a very accurate version, or the very accurate actual story of Brother Yeshua, or Jesus himself. So anyway, we're going to continue. I just looked, it was 144. Again, there it is, twice in one show. Boy, so interesting, these number synchronicities. So here we go. We're in chapter 11. That's another one. Just, add that one to the list. All right. Here we go. Elihu's lessons, Buddhism, and the precepts of Buddha, the mysteries of Egypt. Again, Elihu taught. He said, the Indian priests became corrupt. Brahm was forgotten in the streets. The rights of men were trampled in the dust. And then a mighty master came, a Buddha of enlightenment, who turned away from wealth and all the honors of the world, and found the silence in the quiet groves and caves. And he was blessed. He preached a gospel of a higher life and taught man how to honor man. He had no doctrine of the gods to teach. He just knew man. And so his creed was justice, love, and righteousness. I quote for you a few of many of the helpful words which Buddha spoke. Hate is a cruel word. If men hate you, regard it not, and you can turn the hate of men to love and mercy and goodwill. And mercy is as large as all the heavens. And there is good enough for all. With good destroy the bad. With generous deeds make avarice ashamed. With truth Make straight the crooked lines that error draws. For error is but truth distorted, gone astray. And pain will follow him who speaks or acts with evil thoughts, as does the wheel, the foot of him who draws the cart. He is a greater man who conquers self than he who kills 1,000 men in war. He is the noble man who is himself what he believes that other men should be. Return to him who does you wrong your purest love, and he will cease from doing wrong. For love will purify the heart of him who is beloved as truly as it purifies the heart of him who loves. The words of Buddha are recorded in the Indian sacred books. Attend to them, for they are part of the instructions of the holy breath. The land of Egypt is the land of secret things. The mysteries of the ages lie lock-bound in our temples and our shrines. The masters of all times and climes come here to learn. And when your sons have grown to manhood, they will finish all their studies in Egyptian schools. But I have said enough. Tomorrow at the rising of the sun, we meet again. Chapter 12. Salome's lessons, prayer, Elihu's concluding lessons, sums up the 3 years course of study. The pupils return to their homes. Now, when the morning sun arose, the masters and their pupils were all in the sacred grove. Salome was the first to speak. She said, "Behold the sun. It manifests the power of God, who speaks to us through sun and moon and stars, through mountain, hill, and vale, through flower and plant and tree. God sings for us through bird and harpsichord and human voice. He speaks to us through wind and rain and thunder roll. Why should we not bow down and worship at his feet? God speaks to hearts apart, and hearts apart must speak to him, and this is prayer. It is not prayer to shout at God, to stand or sit or kneel and tell him all about the sins of men. It is not prayer to tell the Holy One how great he is, how good he is, how strong and how compassionate. God is not man to be bought up by praise of man. Prayer is the ardent wish that every way of life be light, that every act be crowned with good, that every living thing be prospered by our ministry. A noble deed, a helpful word is prayer, a fervent and effectual prayer. The fount of prayer is in the heart by thought, not words. The heart is carried up to God where it is blessed. Then let us pray. They prayed, but not a word was said, but in that holy silence every heart was blessed. And then Elihu spoke. He said to Mary and Elizabeth, "Our words are said. You need not tarry longer here. The call has come. The way is clear. You may return unto your native land. A mighty work is given you to do. You shall direct the minds that will direct the world. Your sons are set apart to lead men up to righteous thoughts and words and deeds. to make men know the sinfulness of sin, to lead them from the adoration of the lower self and all elusive things, and make them conscious of the self that lives with Christ in God. In preparation for their work, your sons must walk in many thorny paths. Fierce trials and temptations they will meet like other men. Their loads will not be light, and they will be weary and faint. And they will know the pangs of hunger and of thirst, and without cause they will be mocked, imprisoned, scourged. To many countries they will go, and at the feet of many masters will they sit, for they must learn like other men. But we have said enough. The blessings of the 3 and of the 7 who stand before the throne will surely rest upon you evermore. Thus closed the lessons of Elihu and Salome. 3 years they taught their pupils in the sacred grove, and if their lessons all were written in a book, lo, it would be a mighty book. Of what they said, we have the sum. Now, Mary, Joseph, and Elizabeth, with Jesus and his harbinger, set forth upon their homeward way. They went not by Jerusalem, for Archelaus reigned. They journeyed by the bitter sea, and when they reached En-gedi hills, they rested in the home of Joshua, a near of kin, and here Elizabeth and John abode. But Joseph, Mary, and their son went by the Jordan way, and after certain days they reached their home in Nazareth. Section 4, Daleth. By the way, Daleth is D in Hebrew letters, I believe, and it means doorway. I don't know all the Hebrew letters, but the ones I know, I will share my mystery school knowledge with you based on what I remember. But Daleth looks like a doorway, and it is a doorway, and it's a doorway to our innermost selves and a doorway to the cosmos as well. And it's a doorway to the divine. Okay, I just channeled that from God. That's what he said. It's Prime Creator says that through me. Okay. So, all right, here we go. Section 4, Daleth. Childhood and Early Education of John the Harbinger. Chapter 13. Elizabeth in En-gedi teaches her son. John becomes the pupil of Matheno, who reveals to him the meaning of sin and the law of forgiveness. Elizabeth was blessed. She spent her time with John and gave to him the lessons that Elihu and Salome had given her. And John delighted in the wildness of his home and in the lessons that he learned. Now in the hills were many caves. The cave of David was near, in which the hermit of En-gedi lived. This hermit was Matheno, priest of Egypt, master from the temple of Saqqara. When John was 7 years of age, Matheno took him to the wilderness, and in the cave of David they abode. Matheno taught, and John was thrilled with what the master said, and day by day Matheno opened up to him the mysteries of life. John loved the wilderness. He loved his master and his simple fare. Their food was fruits and nuts, wild honey, and the carob bread. This sounds amazing. Now I wish I had this. Carob bread. Oh, that sounds awesome. Matheno was an Israelite, and he attended all the Jewish feasts. When John was 9 years old, Matheno took him to a great feast in Jerusalem. The wicked Archelaus had been deposed and exiled to a distant land because of his selfishness and cruelty. And John was not afraid. John was delighted with his visit to Jerusalem. Matheno told him all about the service of the Jews, the meaning of their sacrifices, and their rites. John could not understand how sin could be forgiven by killing animals and birds and burning them before the Lord. Matheno said, "The God of heaven and earth does not require sacrifice." This custom with its cruel rites was borrowed from the idol worshippers of other lands. No sin was ever blotted out by sacrifice of animal, of bird, or man. Sin is the rushing forth of man into the fens of wickedness. If one would get away from sin, he must retrace his steps and find his way out of the fens of wickedness. Return and purify your hearts by love and righteousness, and you shall be forgiven. This is the burden of the message that the harbinger shall bring to men. What is forgiveness? John inquired. Matheno said, "It is the paying up of debts. A man who wrongs another can never be forgiven until he rights the wrong. The Vedas say, it says, but it doesn't make sense. Or maybe it's Veda, maybe the S is silent, I don't know. I'll just say it the way it makes sense. Sorry about that, guys. The Vedas say that none can right the wrong but him who does the wrong. John said, "If this be true, where is the power to forgive except the power that rests in man himself? Can man forgive himself?" Matheno said, "The door is wide ajar. You see the way of man's return to right and the forgiveness of his sins." Chapter 14, Matheno's Lessons, the Doctrine of Universal Law, the Power of Man to Choose and to Attain, the Benefits of Antagonisms, Ancient Sacred Books, the Place of John and Jesus in the World's History. Matheno and his pupil John were talking of the sacred books of olden times and of the golden precepts they contained. And John exclaimed, "These golden precepts are sublime. What need have we of other sacred books?" Matheno said, "The spirits of the Holy One cause everything to come and go in proper time. The sun has his own time to set, the moon to rise, to wax and wane, the stars to come and go, the rain to fall, the winds to blow, the seed times and the harvest times to come, man to be born and man to die. These mighty spirits cause the nations to be born. They rock them in their cradles, nurture them to greatest power, and when their tasks are done, they wrap them in their winding sheets and lay them in their tombs. Events are many in a nation's life and in the life of man that are not pleasant for the time, but in the end the truth appears. Whatever comes is for the best. Man was created for a noble part, but he could not be made a free man filled with wisdom, truth, and might. If he were hedged about, confined in straits from which he could not pass, then he would be a mere toy, a mere machine. Creative spirits gave to man a will, and so he has the power to choose. He may attain the greatest heights or sink to deepest depths. For what he wills to gain, he has the power to gain. If he desires strength, he has the power to gain that strength, but he must overcome resistances to reach the goal. No strength is ever gained in idleness. So in the whirl of many-sided conflicts, man is placed where he must strive to extricate himself. In every conflict, man gains strength. With every conquest, he attains to greater heights. With every day, he finds new duties and new cares. Man is not carried over dangerous pits nor helped to overcome his foes. He is himself his army and his sword and shield, and he is captain of his hosts. The holy ones just light his way. Man never has been left without a beacon light to guide. And he has ever had a lighted lamp in hand, that he may see the dangerous rocks, the turbid streams, and the treacherous pits. And so the holy ones have judged. When men have needed added light, a master soul has come to earth to give that light. Before the Vedic days, the world had many sacred books to light the way. And when man needed greater light, the Vedas, the Avesta, and the books of Tao, great, appeared to show the way to greater heights. And in the proper place, the Hebrew Bible, with its law, its prophets, and its psalms, appeared for man's enlightenment. But years have passed, and men have need of greater light. And now the day star from on high begins to shine, and Jesus is the flesh-made messenger to show that light to men. And you, my pupil, you have been ordained to harbinger the coming day. But you must keep that purity of heart you now possess, and you must light your lamp directly from the coals that burn upon the altar of the holy ones. And then your lamp will be transmuted to a boundless flame, and you will be a living torch whose light will shine wherever man abides. But in the ages yet to come, man will attain to greater heights, and lights still more intense will come. And then at last a mighty master soul will come to earth to light the way up to the throne of perfect man. Chapter 15. Death and Burial of Elizabeth. Matheno's Lessons. The Ministry of Death. The Mission of John. Institution of the Rite of Baptism. Matheno takes John to Egypt and places him in the temple at Saqqara, where he remains 18 years. When John was 12 years old, his mother died, and neighbors laid her body in a tomb among her kindred in the Hebron burying ground and near to Zechariah's tomb. And John was deeply grieved. He wept. Matheno said, "It is not well to weep because of death. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth, that it may sail on smoother seas." No language can describe a mother's worth, and yours was tried and true. But she was not called hence until her tasks were done. The calls of death are always for the best, for we are solving problems there as well as here. And one is sure to find himself where he can solve his problems best. It is but selfishness that makes one wish to call again to earth departed souls. Then let your mother rest in peace. Just let her noble life be strength and inspiration unto you. A crisis in your life has come, and you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. The sages of the ages call you harbinger. The prophets look to you and say, "He is Elijah, come again." Your mission here is that of harbinger. For you will go before Messiah's face to pave his way and make the people ready to receive their king. This readiness is purity of heart. None but the pure in heart can recognize the king. To teach men to be pure in heart, you must yourself be pure in heart and word and deed. In infancy, the vow for you was made, and you became a Nazarite. The razor shall not touch your face nor head, and you shall taste not wine nor fiery drinks. Men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead. The man who stands upon the corners of the paths and points the way but does not go is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same. The teacher treads the way on every span of ground. He leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see and be assured that he, their master, went that way. Men comprehend the inner life by what they see and do. They come to God through ceremonies and forms. And so when you would make men know that their sins are washed away by purity in life, a rite symbolic may be introduced. In water, wash the bodies of the people who would turn away from sin and strive for purity in life. This rite of cleansing is a preparation rite, and they who thus are cleansed comprise the church of purity. And you shall say, you men of Israel, hear, reform and wash, become the sons of purity, and you shall be forgiven. This rite of cleansing and this church are but symbolic of the cleansing of the soul by purity in life, and of the kingdom of the soul, which does not come with outward show, but it is the church within. Now you may never point the way and tell the multitudes to do what you have never done, but you must go before and show the way. You are to teach that men must wash, so you must lead the way. Your body must be washed, symbolic of the cleansing of the soul. John said, why need I wait? May I not go at once and wash? Nathanael said, 'Tis well. And then they went down to the Jordan ford, east of Jericho, just where the hosts of Israel crossed. And when they first entered Canaan, they tarried for a time. Nathanael taught the harbinger, and he explained to him the inner meaning of the cleansing rite, and how to wash himself, and how to wash the multitude. And in the river Jordan, John was washed, and they returned into the wilderness. Now in En-Gedi's hills, Nathanael's work was done, and he and John went down to Egypt. They rested not until they reached the temple of Saqqara in the valley of the Nile. For many years, Nathanael was a master in this temple of the brotherhood. And when he told about the life of John and of his mission to the sons of men, the Hierophant, with joy, received the harbinger, and he was called the brother Nazarite. For 18 years, John lived and wrought within these temple gates. Wrought is spelled not R-O-T, but W-R-O-U-G-H-T. So like wrought, like to make like wrought iron or cast iron, I guess. Anyway, wrought. He was wrought within these temple gates. And here he conquered self, became a mastermind, and learned the duties of the harbinger. Section 5. He, H-E, so childhood and early education of Jesus. Chapter 16. Wait a minute. Wow. I didn't remember saying chapter 15. That's so strange. Okay. All right. I'm really into what I'm reading, and I wasn't paying attention to what chapter I read, though. If this story is interesting to me. Okay, so chapter 16. The home of Joseph. Mary teaches her son. Jesus' grandparents give a feast in his honor. Jesus has a dream. His grandmother's interpretation. His birthday gift. The home of Joseph was on Marmion Way in Nazareth. Here Mary taught her son the lessons of Elihu and Salome. And Jesus greatly loved the Vedic hymns and the Avesta, but more than all he loved to read the Psalms of David and the pungent words of Solomon. The Jewish books of prophecy were his delight. And when he reached his 7th year, he needed not the books to read, for he had fixed in memory every word. Joachim and his wife, grandparents of child Jesus, made a feast in honor of the child, and all their near of kin were guests. And Jesus stood before the guests and said, I had a dream, and in my dream I stood before a sea upon a sandy beach. The waves upon the sea were high, a storm was raging on the deep. Someone above gave me a wand. I took the wand and touched the sand, and every grain of sand became a living thing. The beach was all a mass of beauty and of song. I touched the waters at my feet, and they were changed to trees and flowers and singing birds, and everything was praising God. And someone spoke. I did not see the one who spoke. I heard the voice, which said, there is no death. Grandmother Anna loved the child. She laid her hand on Jesus' head and said, I saw you stand beside the sea. I saw you touch the sand and waves. I saw them turn to living things, and then I knew the meaning of the dream. The sea of life rolls high. The storms are great. The multitude of men are idle, listless, waiting, like dead sand upon the beach. Your wand is truth. With this you touch the multitudes, and every man becomes a messenger of holy light and life. You touch the waves upon the sea of life. Their turmoils cease. Their very winds become a song of praise. There is no death, because the wand of truth can change the driest bones to living things, and bring the loveliest flowers from stagnant ponds, and turn the most discordant notes to harmony and praise. Joachim said, my son, today you pass the 7th milestone of your way of life, for you are 7 years of age, and we will give to you as a remembrance of this day whatever you desire. Choose that which will afford you most delight. And Jesus said, I do not want a gift, for I am satisfied. If I could take a multitude of children glad upon this day, I would be greatly pleased. Now, there are many hungry boys and girls in Nazareth who would be pleased to eat with us this feast and share with us the pleasures of this day. The richest gift that you can give me is your permission to go out and find these needy ones and bring them here that they may feast with us. Joachim said, 'Tis well. Go out and find the needy boys and girls and bring them here. We will prepare enough for all. And Jesus did not wait. He ran. He entered every dingy hut and cabin of the town. He did not waste his words. He told his mission everywhere. And in a little time, 160 of happy ragged boys and girls were following him up Marmion Way. The guests made way. The banquet hall was filled with Jesus' guests, and Jesus and his mother helped to serve. And there was food enough for all, and all were glad. And so the birthday gift of Jesus was a crown of righteousness. Oh, that really got me. Whew. Okay, chapter 17. Jesus talks with the rabbi of the synagogue of Nazareth. He criticizes the narrowness of Jewish thought. Now, Rabbi Barakiah of the synagogue of Nazareth was aide to Mary in the teaching of her son. One morning after service in the synagogue, the rabbi said to Jesus as he sat in silent thought, "Which is the greatest of the 10 commands?" And Jesus said, "I do not see a greatest of the 10 commands. I see a golden cord that runs through all the 10 commands, that binds them fast and makes them one. This cord is love. and it belongs to every word of all the 10 commands. If one is full of love, he can do nothing else than worship God, for God is love. If one is full of love, he cannot kill, he cannot falsely testify, he cannot covet, he can do naught but honor God and man. If one is full of love, he does not need commands of any kind. And Rabbi Barakia said, "Your words are seasoned with the salt of wisdom that is from above. Who is the teacher who has opened up this truth to you?" And Jesus said, "I do not know that any teacher opens up this truth for me. It seems to me that truth was never shut, that it was always opened up, for truth is one, and it is everywhere. And if we open up the windows of our minds, the truth will enter in and make herself at home. For truth can find her way through any crevice, any window, any open door." The rabbi said, "What hand is strong enough to open up the windows and the doors of mind so truth can enter in?" And Jesus said, "It seems to me that love, the golden cord that binds the 10 commands in one, is strong enough to open any human door so that the truth can enter in and cause the heart to understand." Now in the evening, Jesus and his mother sat alone, and Jesus said, "The rabbi seems to think that God is partial in his treatment of the sons of men, and that Jews are favored and are blessed above all other men. I do not see how God can have his favorites and be just. Are not Samaritans and Greeks and Romans just as much the children of the Holy One as are the Jews? I think the Jews have built a wall about themselves, and they see nothing on the other side of it. They do not know that flowers are blooming over there, that sowing times and reaping times belong to anybody but the Jews. It surely will be well if we could break these barriers down so that the Jews might see that God has other children that are just as greatly blessed. I want to go from Jewry land and meet my kin in other countries of my fatherland." Chapter 18. Jesus at a feast in Jerusalem is grieved by the cruelties of the sacrificers, appeals to Hillel, who sympathizes with him. He remains in the temple a year. The great feast of the Jews was on, and Joseph, Mary, and their son, and many of their kin went to Jerusalem. The child was 10 years old. And Jesus watched the butchers kill the lambs and birds and burn them on the altar in the name of God. His tender heart was shocked at this display of cruelty. He asked the serving priest, "What is the purpose of this slaughter of the beasts and birds? Why do you burn their flesh before the Lord?" The priest replied, "This is our sacrifice for sin. God has commanded us to do these things and said that in these sacrifices all our sins are blotted out." And Jesus said, "Will you be kind enough to tell when God proclaimed that sins are blotted out by sacrifice of any kind? Did not David say that God requires not a sacrifice for sin, that it is sin itself to bring before his face burnt offerings as offerings for sin? Did not Isaiah say the same?" The priest replied, "My child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the laws of God than all the priests of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit." But Jesus heeded not his taunts. He went to Hillel, chief of the Sanhedrin, and he said to him, "Rabboni, I would like to talk with you. I am disturbed about this service of the Paschal feast. I thought the temple was the house of God where love and kindness dwell." Do you not hear the bleating of those lambs, the pleading of those doves that men are killing over there? Do you not smell that awful stench that comes from burning flesh? Can man be just and kind and still be filled with cruelty? A God that takes delight in sacrifice, in blood and burning flesh, is not my Father God. I want to find a God of love, and you, my master, you are wise, and surely you can tell me where to find the God of love. But Hillel could not give an answer to the child. His heart was stirred with sympathy. He called the child to him. He laid his hand upon his head and wept. He said, "There is a God of love, and you shall come with me, and hand in hand we will go forth and find the God of love." And Jesus said, "Why need we go? I thought God is everywhere. Can we not purify our hearts and drive out cruelty and every wicked thought and make within a temple where the God of love can dwell?" The master of the great Sanhedrin felt as though he was himself the child, and that stood before him Rabboni, master of the highest law. He said within himself, "This child is surely prophet sent from God." Then Hillel sought the parents of the child and asked that Jesus might abide with him and learn the precepts of the law and all the lessons of the temple priests. His parents gave consent, and Jesus did abide within the holy temple in Jerusalem, and Hillel taught him every day. And every day the master learned from Jesus many lessons of the higher life. The child remained with Hillel in the temple for a year, and then returned unto his home in Nazareth, and there he wrought with Joseph as a carpenter. Chapter 19. Jesus, at the age of 12 in the temple, disputes with the doctors of the law, reads from a book of prophecy. By request of Hillel, he interprets the prophecies. Again, the great feast in Jerusalem was on, and Joseph, Mary, and their son were there. The child was 12 years old. And there were Jews and proselytes from many countries in Jerusalem. And Jesus sat among the priests and doctors in the temple hall. And Jesus opened up a book of prophecy and read, "Woe, woe to Ariel, the town where David dwelt. I will dismantle Ariel, and she shall groan and weep. And I will camp against her round about with hostile posts. And I will bring her low, and she shall speak out of the earth with muffled voice like a familiar spirit shall she speak. Yea, shall she only whisper forth her speech, and foes unnumbered like the grains of dust shall come upon her suddenly. The Lord of hosts will visit her with thunder, and with tempest, and with storm, with earthquake, and with devouring flames. Lo, all these people have deserted me. They draw to me with speech, and with their lips they honor me. Their hearts are far removed from me. Their fear for me is that inspired by man. And I will breathe an adverse breath upon my people Israel. The wisdom of their wise men shall be lost. The understanding of their prudent men shall not be found. My people seek to hide their counsel from the Lord, so that their works may not be seen. They fain would cover up their works with darkness of the night, and say, Who sees us now? Who knows us now? Poor foolish men, shall that which has been made to say of its maker, He is not, I made myself? Or shall the pot speak out and say to him who made the pot, You have no skill, you do not know? But this will not forever be. The time will come when Lebanon will be a fruitful field, and fruitful fields will be transformed to groves. And on that day the deaf will hear the words of God, the blind will read the book of God's remembrance. and suffering ones will be relieved, and they will have abundant joy, and everyone that needs will be supplied, and will come to pass that all the foolish will be wise. The people will return and sanctify the Holy One, and in their heart of hearts, lo, they will reverence him. When Jesus had thus read, he put aside the book and said, "You masters of the law, will you make plain for us the prophet's words?" Now Hillel sat among the masters of the law, and he stood forth and said, "Perhaps our young Rabboni, who has read the word, will be interpreter." And Jesus said, "The Ariel of the prophet is our own Jerusalem. By selfishness and cruelty, this people has become a stench unto the Elohim. The prophet saw these days from afar, and of these times he wrote, Our doctors, lawyers, priests, and scribes oppress the poor, while they themselves in luxury live. The sacrifices and the offerings of Israel are but abomination unto God. The only sacrifice that God requires is self. Because of this injustice and this cruelty of man to man, the Holy One has spoken of this commonwealth. Lo, I will overturn, yes, I will overturn. It shall be overturned, and it shall be no more until he comes, whose right it is, and I will give it unto him. In all the world there is one law of right, and he who breaks that law will suffer grief, for God is just. And Israel has gone far astray, has not regarded justice nor the rights of man, and God demands that Israel shall reform and turn again to ways of holiness. And if our people will not hear the voice of God, lo, the nations from afar will come and sack Jerusalem and tear our temple down and take our people captive into foreign lands. But this will not be forever. Though they be scattered far and wide and wander here and there among the nations of the earth, like sheep that have no shepherd guide, the time will come when God will bring again the captive hosts, for Israel shall return and dwell in peace. And after many years our temple shall be built again, and one whom God will honor, one in whom the pure in heart delights will come and glorify the house of God and reign in righteousness. And when Jesus had thus said, he stepped aside, and all the people were amazed and said, This surely is the Christ. Chapter 20. After the feast, the homeward journey, the missing Jesus, the search for him, his parents find him in the temple. He goes with them to Nazareth, symbolic meaning of the carpenter's tools. The great feast of the Pasch, P-A-S-C-H, was ended, and the Nazarenes were journeying toward their homes. And they were in Samaria. And Mary said, Where is my son? No one had seen the boy. And Joseph sought among their kindred, who were on their way to Galilee, but they had seen him not. Then Joseph, Mary, and a son of Zebedee returned and sought through all Jerusalem, but they could find him not. And then they went up to the temple courts and asked the guards, Have you seen Jesus, a fair-haired boy with deep blue eyes, 12 years of age, about these courts? The guards replied, Yes, he is in the temple now disputing with the doctors of the law. And they went in and found him as the guards had said. And Mary said, Why, Jesus, why do you treat your parents thus? Lo, we have sought 2 days for you. We feared that some great harm had overtaken you. This is like a typical thing that would happen with parents, right? Oh my God, Jesus, why did you do this? And Jesus said, Do you not know that I must be about my Father's work? Oh, it's kind of cute, isn't it? But he went round and pressed the hand of every doctor of the law and said, I trust that we may meet again. And then he went forth with his parents on their way to Nazareth. And when they reached their home, he wrought with Joseph as a carpenter. One day, as he was bringing forth the tools for work, he said, these tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. We use the square to measure all our lines, to straighten out the crooked places of the way, and make the corners of our conduct square. We use the compass to draw circles round our passions and desires, to keep them in the bounds of righteousness. We use the axe to cut away the knotty, K-N-O-T-T-Y, useless and ungainly parts, and make the characters symmetrical. We use the hammer to drive home the truth and pound it in until it is a part of every part. We use the plane to smooth the rough, uneven surfaces of joint and block and board that go to build the temple for the truth. The chisel, line, and plummet, and the saw all have their uses in the workshop of the mind. And then this ladder, with its trinity of steps, faith, hope, and love. On it we climb up to the dome of purity in life. And on the 12-step ladder, we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that which life is spent to build, the temple of perfected man. Okay, well, that's enough food for thought to chew on mentally. Woo! My God, he was smart as a whip, wasn't he? Jesus. What an incredible person. Okay, when we come back, not next week, because this is our last week together for this season. When we come back into season 5, we will continue with section 6 of this book, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. And it's going to be interesting. So, even though I'm going to take off about 5 or 6 weeks, because I've got to get some other things straightened up in my life. When we come back, though, for the next season, we're going to check out the life and works of Jesus in India. And this is going to be very interesting. There were books written in India about Jesus being in India, and yet I've heard so many Christians say, the lost years of Jesus, no one knows where he is. It's like, yeah, they did. He was in India. There were books written all over India about him. That's ridiculous. Just because they had a different name for him, they didn't actually, just because they didn't call him Jesus doesn't mean he wasn't there. They just gave him a different name. So a few things about this, what we just read. Jesus did have a blonde hair and blue eyes. His eyes were very blue. Sometimes they looked green, depending on, the actual, light around him, lighting. But I was there in that life with him, and I remember when he was always talking about faith, hope, and love. He's always talking about that. And I remember when he said it once during one of his speeches, it was a bunch of us sitting around on the ground. He sat under like a palm tree, and we were all just sitting on the ground. It was just like I don't think we even had like a blanket to sit on. There was a bunch of us kids. I was still kind of a kid. Maybe I was like a preteen at the time, and he was a grown man. He had a beard. And his hair was very blonde, but it was kind of like a sandy, brownish blonde. He wasn't just like very fair blonde. His hair got darker as he got older, and he had kind of like a little bit of red in his beard, a little bit of red in his hair. but he was blonde for sure. And he said those words, faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. And that's a very famous thing. He was always talking about love and truth. And my whole life, I've been talking to Jesus via telepathy since I was a kid in this life. And he and I were close in that life. He called me little sister, even though I was more like a cousin. I wasn't even related. I mean, I was related to John the Baptist, of course, John the Harbinger. I was related to them both, but I was like a cousin, kind of like from, or at least they kind of all said we were cousins. I think we were actually related, but he called me little sister, and I called him my big brother, and I loved him with all my heart. I mean, I hung on his every word. I remember how he impressed me, and he did that to everybody. He just impressed upon us on a deep, powerful, like soul level, that love, and how truth is the king. It reigns supreme above all else. And that's what brings the love. I mean, it was constant. And I remember when I first had the memory of knowing Jesus, it was when I saw this scene that I just described for you. And I remember just like, I don't know, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I saw the vision of it, of the past. And I wept and I wept and I wept. And I told my husband, and he cried. He wept. He was like, oh my gosh, that is so precious of a memory. Like, wow. And it was indeed. I'm really enjoying reading this book. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. I am not a Christian, for the record. I just looked. It was 5522. For those of you who are actually keeping track of the angel numbers, there's another one for you. Oh, 5533 right there. So, there it is. I'm actually not a Christian. You don't. It's not required for you to be a Christian to listen to my show. This is a spiritual and metaphysical show. And what I'd like to show through reading of this book is that it is not the way that the Christian people think. It is not the way it's written in the Bible, which is like pretty much men playing telephone for 200 years before anything was actually written down. This is way before printing presses were invented. And so it was all like kind of word of mouth, and sometimes the minds slip a little and the mouth doesn't say the right thing, and bada boom, bada bing, we've got some fake things going on there in the story. And the story itself, when the Akashic records are read, to me at least, it just shows what a sweet and pure soul Brother Yeshua was. What a wonderful human being he was from the beginning, from the get-go. And he came here with the express purpose of teaching people to always strive for the truth and always look for the love and always take the path of love, So for me, it's always been my mission in this life as well, is to try to follow these words and his example. Just love and truth. That's all we need. If you carry love in your heart and you're always seeking the truth, you're always going to find the way to love everybody and everything in the situation you're in. Period. That's it. Anyway, there you have it. All right. What else? I wanted to let you guys know I am opened up now for readings. I just booked one today. If you want a reading, write to me, please, at mermaidgirl888. I will be open for readings during my break between seasons. So do not hesitate to contact me and just let me know. Now, I am willing to do half price for a half hour. If you cannot afford the full price that I charge for an hour, that's okay. And you can also make me an offer. I don't always advertise that, but someone asked me today, and of course I agreed. Yeah, of course. Not a problem, not at all. I can channel God for you, your holy guardian angel, relatives who are willing to speak with you, and I will ask them before we begin. Before you even pay me, I will contact who you wish to contact, if it is a relative, to even see if they're available. because sometimes when people first cross over to the other side, they are busy. A lot of times they're cocooning and they are recovering from having lived on Earth, which is a very harsh place to be. It's very hard on the soul. So a lot of times people will just kind of be out of commission for a couple years, and then they come back, and then you can have a conversation with someone, but in that way. But I'm a psychic medium, and I'm an archangel, and because of that, God has blessed me with the ability to help humans in unique ways. And so I am here for you. If you need anything, let me know. Don't hesitate to ask. At MermaidGirl888, that's just my personal account on Instagram, and that's where I'm at right now. Anyway, that's it, guys. I love each and every one of you, and I will be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. But until then, I am signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.